Hey, it's Friday, so I just want to jump on. I did a live. Let me just turn this on if I can do that. Did a live the other day about AI and how that's changing how we are running our businesses. I want to jump back onto the Google subject today. So Q&A, some of the most common questions that I get all the time. So particularly, I just want to focus on probably 5 questions I've had this week as to how best practices to run Google Ads. So let's jump straight in on this Friday and let's break these down into some kind of simple tidbits that we can use to improve our Google Ads. And that's what we're trying to do, always improve our ads. One thing I will say, if you're running Google Ads now and you're using practices from 18 months ago, chances are you're going to struggle. I'm still seeing, and it's an issue. I still see a number of accounts. I mean, I audit a lot of accounts. A number of accounts still are using phrase match. Try to dial that in a little bit. Try to bring in some more sort of understanding to what you're trying to do for your Google Ads. So let's jump into the Q&A. Let's jump into some questions that I've been asked this week as an example. So what budget should I start with? Great question. The way to approach budget and how you can sort of start with a budget that can give you enough data. Remember, with Google, we're trying to collect enough data to make better decisions. If you're running a budget of 10, 15, 20 pounds a day, is that going to generate you at least 10 clicks a day over 30 days and then generate you moving forward 30 conversions over 30 days is the criteria. Now, where do I get 10 clicks a day? You want at least 10 clicks a day over 30 days. If you can generate more, then fantastic. But the caveat to all of this is we need to still do a little bit of research. So I've run a number of campaigns in countries like Australia and for local lead generation, plumbers and electricians, and the cost per click. So how much it costs per click for, say, a plumber in Australia can be range between $30 and $70. It's extortionately expensive. So potentially we need to look at a different strategy there. So if you're running a budget of $30 a day and the average cost per click is going to be between $30 and $70 a day, then you're kind of going to struggle to get 10 clicks a day at a minimum. So we need to kind of think a little bit differently. So potentially we need to look at the strategies that we're implementing, potentially not looking for the high value keywords that are that much more expensive. Look at slight variation. So it's very difficult when you're speaking to an audience to give broad criteria regarding Google Ads because there's so many different variables and not one size fits all. You can kind of give advice and I can say, yeah, I start with max clicks. And the reason I do this is because I want to drive as many clicks as I can to a campaign. And then from there, we want to go to a mass conversions. But in reality, we need to see what's happening. We need to see based on a number of different factors. And like I said before, if your average cost per, your CPC cost per click, that's how much it costs for a click. If that's going to be $30 or $35, $40, and your budget a day is $30, then what that data is saying is that for every click that happens on your conversion, or sorry, for every click that happens on your ad campaign, ad group, then you're only going to get 1 to 2 clicks a day. So straight away, your budget's going to be spent, and it's just not the best strategy for you to run forward. So we need to work out 10 clicks a day, and then from the criteria I've told you, that's how you work out the best practice to get the minimum of 10 clicks a day. If you're getting 20, 30 clicks, then fine. And if you're getting sort of, 30, 40, 50 conversions, then again, that's kind of some rough and ready benchmarks that I use when I'm approaching Google Ads. Next question. What campaign types should we start off with? Now, I want to give a little bit of context here. So I like to start off with search campaigns majority of the time. Again, with e-commerce, it's different, but let's focus on lead generation. So with lead generation, you want to start off with a search campaign. That's kind of the basis. That's the basis of what you're trying to build. Now, the good thing with that, you can add in your search terms, your negative keywords. You have a lot more control with the search campaign. But the kind of downside to this is that it's the most expensive place to advertise on Google. So, but if you can get that working, if you can get a search campaign working, then potentially you can scale up whether you're increasing your budget or potentially looking at other products within Google. But I will start with a search campaign, and then from there you can do all the other stuff. Like once you're getting some good data, you're getting your 10 clicks a day minimum, you're getting your 30 conversions, then potentially you can look at changing different factors within your campaign. So, but that's where I start off with, is a search campaign generally, and then from there. But again, this is subject to the account. So again, take everything I say with a pinch of salt. We need to make sure that we're looking at the data that we're being presented. If we have no data, then search campaign. If you're running a search campaign already, potentially you can look at other products, which are going to be cheaper for you in the long run with Google. So PMAX is, you're going to get more impressions, more clicks based on a lot smaller budget than a search campaign. But search is good because, again, you have a lot more control over that, and we can really kind of focus in on the data points that we need to get the conversions and the minimum amount of data that we need for our Google Ads. Next question. Is Google the best platform? Should I start off with Google? I get this all the time. If you go to a Facebook person and ask them what's the best platform, the chances are they're going to say it's Facebook Meta. If you go to somebody who runs Google, the chances are they're going to say Google. Whatever, if I said to you, what's the best car? You're going to say, oh, it's going to be, I don't know, a Hyundai or a Porsche or whatever, because it's down to the experience of that individual. So you're using that for kind of a little bit of a blinkered approach. Now, more of a balanced approach, I think, is somebody who is potentially using a number of different platforms. Like, I don't just focus on Google. We use Facebook because I think they work very well together. Facebook is a little bit more in your face, whereas Google is more search based. So potentially going to get a little less traffic to the Google. It's going to be a little bit more higher sort of converted leads that are coming through for you. So what's the best platform? I think if you can mix a little bit of both, which is very much kind of comes out into an omnipresent strategy where you're literally being seen everywhere. So if you can imagine, if somebody clicks on your Google ad and you've paid, say, £2-3 or $2-3 a lead for a click, somebody's converted, or even if they haven't converted, then the chances are that then when they go onto their Facebook or another platform, then potentially they're going to see your ads somewhere else. So if they've converted, that's great. Then that will be a conversion for Google. But if they've come onto the website, potentially you can then run ads on Facebook, and then they'll start to see Facebook ads. So the idea is that once they click into your kind of world, then they're going to be seen everywhere. And that's what you want. It's called omnipresent. So I don't necessarily say Google's the best. I think a balanced approach is the best approach that you need for your business. I personally like the dual approach of using Meta as well as using Google. So I think it's a good approach. I think it covers a lot of aspects, and I think Meta's better at retargeting. We don't necessarily need to create a dedicated retargeting, because as soon as you run Meta ads and you go above a frequency of 1, you're retargeting anyway, because somebody's seeing your ad more than once, and that's what frequency is. It's the amount of times that somebody sees your ad. So combination of both works fantastically well. So use both platforms if you have the budget. And again, depending on the strategies, not one size fits all. If you go to a guy dedicated to Google, they'll recommend Google. If you go to somebody who just does only Meta, then obviously they're going to say Meta. But if you come to somebody with a little bit more experience, a little bit more kind of an understanding of the platforms, then someone like myself is going to say do both, because I think it's a nice balanced approach based on the strategy. So just be careful where you're getting your advice from, based on your advertising and what you're wanting to achieve for your particular product or service, based on the experience of who you're speaking to. Next question: how can I scale my campaign? Is it easy to scale? Look, the answer is, all scaling is in essence, and I'm just going to spend a little bit of time on this, is because if you have a campaign that's doing well and you want to scale a campaign, all I do if I'm running Google Ads is I'm making sure that the campaign that I'm running, let's give an example. If it's a search campaign, we're getting 30, 40, 50 conversions over a period of 30 days. We're getting our clicks, we're optimizing, we're doing all the stuff we're supposed to do for our Google Ads. So we know when to go in to make the adjustments, we know when to take a step back. So we're having that kind of, we know when the ebb and flow of our Google Ads is. Then potentially, if it's working, all we need to do is look at this, auction insights, which will give us our search impressions. So search impressions just tells you of the amount of people, of the amount of searches available or search impressions. So let's just take away search impressions. If there's 100 available searches for a campaign and we're getting seen less than 10% of those 100 times, then potentially there is room to scale. If we're seeing that we are showing up at 20, the number 20 or 30, then again, potentially there is room to scale. So all we're doing once we see this data, our campaign is working, is we're just adding budget. We're increasing the budget from 20% increments above 50, $60, pounds, whatever you're varying depending if you're UK or US. All you're doing is increasing the budget by 20%. Now, why 20%? If you increase it more, potentially you can put the campaign back into a learning phase. It's going to put you backwards. So 5 to 7 days, see what the results are, and then scale another 20%. You'll get to where you need to get to relatively quickly, but you just need to do it in a way that's not going to put you back. And then you're thinking, why is my campaign, it was doing so well, I doubled the budget, it doesn't work that way. When you sort of like go up by 50, 60 pounds, dollars, then look at increasing your budget by 20%. Safe, make sure you're not putting yourself back into a learning phase. So yeah, it is relatively straightforward to scale, but again, with all the data points, you need to look at the data, make sure that you're understanding what's going on, and the auction insights is one of the fantastic places that will give you the insight into know whether you can or cannot scale. Now, if you do decide to scale and you increase the budget, keep an eye on your CPCs. If you find that you're slowly getting more search impressions, say you've doubled your budget over a period of a couple of weeks, so you've gone from 100 to 200, you've done it over a period of 4 weeks, but you're finding now that you can't seem to get any more conversions, but then you're finding your CPCs are slowly rising, you're at sort of like 40, 50% search impression. That's Google's way of saying to you, okay, you've scaled about as much as you're going to get with this particular campaign, this type of structure. Google is sending you a signal because of the CPC resistance saying, okay, now's a good time to start a Performance Max campaign. And this is how straightforward it is. You just, again, it's understanding those data points, and then it again allows you to then either yourself or explain to a client that you're hitting CPC resistance, you're clearly seeing the data, and then from there you can add another campaign, which is going to be a Performance Max or a demand gen to your overall strategy. And another question I've had this week, I had this come up a couple of times, is what's the best way to increase kind of locally? I think one of the easiest ways that you can help your business locally through Google My Business is just really look at your reviews. If you've got like 5, 10, 15 reviews and your competitors have got a considerably larger amount of reviews, then start getting more reviews. If you're getting 20, 30 customers a month, then just ask for a review. And if they send you a review, make sure you reply to that. That sends a message to Google to say that you're doing a good job. And you've got to know what signals each platform wants. So again, this is more organic based, but just getting a good amount of reviews and just thanking or replying back to the individuals who are sending the reviews. Again, you can add an automation for this, like I spoke the other day about automations if you're a busy business owner. But we just have to understand that when we're running businesses, we need to be doing the right things at the right time. So getting a lot of reviews will rank you higher than those businesses potentially aren't. Think of your customer journey. When you're looking for a product or a service online, if you're looking to shop, what do? I know my personal journey, if I'm looking on Amazon, I'll look at the reviews. If I'm seeing a lot of 4 or 5 star reviews, then it's kind of like, that's how I sort my kind of codes. And again, if I'm looking for services, I'm looking for reviews. If I'm looking for, say, a local business and there's a Google My Business profile with 2 or 3 reviews, and there's another one with 200 or 300 reviews, guess which one I'm going with? The one with the more reviews. And it doesn't really cost you any additional money. It just takes a little bit of time to build up your reviews. So make sure you're covering all aspects of your business. Understand that reviews are such an easy way for you to rank higher on Google, but also for you to improve the performance of your local SEO. So when people are searching for you, they're going to look at your reviews, and that's going to be one of the ticks. Think of your customer journey. What are you doing? Anyway, it's Friday afternoon. I've gone through the 5 most common questions I've had over the last couple of weeks. So if you have any questions, let me know. But I hope this helps. But make sure you implement these strategies into your businesses to really improve. And again, if you want to audit your account, I love auditing accounts. audited a few accounts today, so that was fantastic. Again, just giving some guidance and understanding on ways to improve Google Ads is something that we do very, very well.